Live self-defense training video. You're going to be working with your homemade self-defense walking stick, or if you have something like this, any kind of walking stick, especially a blackthorn shillelagh. I put a link below if you want to see how to get one of these and what the dimensions are. This is an Irish fighting stick. This is designed for self-defense. It's designed to fight. There are many different versions, but this one is the most basic, the most simple, the one that you see the most, and it's nearly indestructible. It hits extremely hard, but we're going to talk about close quarters, what you do when you get rushed or you're super in a tight space, hallway, doorway, something like that. How do you defend yourself with the walking stick for self-defense? And again, you can use your homemade walking stick that you made out of a 36-inch dowel rod or something like this, any kind of walking stick. This happens to be an Irish shillelagh, which is about the same length as this walking stick. Hello, Garen, it's good to see you. So I'm gonna be using this one just because this was a gift from Doug. Doug sent it to me. He's one of our online members, and I really appreciate the gift, but I also really enjoy working out with this thing. It's just, it takes them a couple years to make these, and it's just, you can tell, it's just the way it's made. It's perfect. All right, so we're talking about close quarters, what happens when you're really close. I want to show you the first thing that I would have you do is slide your hand down the back of your walking stick. I'm gonna lower the camera a little bit. Just realized we're too tall without busting the camera. I keep breaking it lately. But from here, I slide my hand down here, get my hand behind it, and then I'm gonna be in this position. We'll call this the thread. Somebody comes up on you really close, and you're just going to jam the tip of your walking stick right into the soft flesh, the throat, the eyes, the nose. Your goal for self-defense is to remove anything you can from the person who's attacking you, his ability to see, his ability to breathe temporarily or permanently for self-defense. So if I'm gonna show you the same thing, same technique, if I'm using just a regular stick, a walking stick you made on your own, or a simple walking stick, slide your hand down the back, and then immediately pick that up in a direct line from your hip to his face, from your hip to his nose. And when you practice, you don't have to strike a bag. You can just practice thrusting from here to here into the face and go slowly, simply slide your hand down, calm yourself down, but prepare. You're asking yourself a question in your head, what target can I remove or destroy for self-defense? And when you answer nose, eyes, throat, solar plexus, maybe it's the groin, you slide your hand down there, you're prepared, and then it just comes straight in. It's very fast, it's very explosive, and it doesn't require a lot of room. Another technique I would have you do if you were outside and you had a big space is bring this up and around. But what happens if you're in a doorway, you're in a confined space, you're maybe on public transportation, you're on a bus, you're on a train, you're in a plane, and you have walls. This is gonna get stuck up. So what I want you to do is think of between you and the threat, the most direct line in these first set of attacks. I'm gonna come down here and I'm just gonna thrust straight in. You're also going to be strongest in this straight line of attack from here to here. If you are coming out from the side, anytime you lift your arm up like that, you put a lot of pressure on your shoulder. If you're not as strong here, you don't have as strong of an attack. You can also injure that shoulder. But when you go from here to here, you're very strong, very powerful. You're able to strike with a lot of force. So from here, I simply slide back and I come straight in. Now, the second thing I'm gonna have you do, I'm gonna switch back to my blackthorn Irish shillelagh, and I'm gonna have you slide your hand down the front and simply turn your wrist straight up. Now, this is still a small space. Again, I'm not coming out here to the side. Let's say if this is the threat, that's his face, here's the wall. I can't get my hand up. I can't get my hand up to do that turning strike. But from here, I can slide my hand down the front and simply point it. Now I'm pointing it into his eyes, his nose, his throat. Again, it's a question you're gonna ask yourself, what target can you remove or destroy for self-defense? And that is gonna be in the center line of his body. We're using this bag to demonstrate just from me to him, the closest is just that straight line. Now here's where I'm gonna have you put the other hand onto your walking stick. From here, and all you have to do now is lift this front hand to direct the angle of attack. Do you want to go into his eyes or his nose or his throat? Do you want to go into his solar plexus? You want to go into his groin. You want to go into the private parts. Maybe it's a vicious animal. You've got to defend yourself against that dog that's running around mauling people in the neighborhood. You'll come out, walk out of your house, all of a sudden he's right there, right in his face for self-defense. Never be abusive, right? We're not talking about abuse. We're talking about defending yourself. It's your right. Now, if you like self-defense, you like working with walking stick for self-defense, or you just like working out with me, please give me a thumbs up. Share this if you can. Pop it up and go straight in. You want to go from me, straight in. Garen says his dog is barking at my voice. That means he likes me, Garen. I like your dog too. I love dogs. From here, straight in here, and then right into the groin, right into the throat, right into the face. Now, that's 2 ways that you can be walking with your walking stick and immediately respond to the threat. Either picking it up and thrusting straight into one of those soft spots of the body, because remember, you're going to ask yourself a question. What can I remove or destroy for self-defense to stop him from hurting me? Maybe it's his nose or his eyes, his ability to see, his ability to breathe, temporarily, permanently for self-defense. You're going to shove that right in there. Once you get that in there, you're going to go 2 or 3 times. Think about a boxer's jabbing, right? Straight in. When you strike, 1, 2, 3. And then think about how a boxer increases power when they do that jab or they do that cross or they do that knockout punch. The way you're going to get more power is you're going to fully extend that arm. You're going to turn your shoulders and hips. And when you can, you're going to step with it. So if I step forward and drive, now my entire body weight is going right through his face. And using this, and again, it works just as well with your homemade, this is the ultimate prepper self-defense tool. If you know somebody who's a prepper, or you're a prepper yourself, this is the best. I always say prepare or perish, right? Prepare for everything. Prepare your pantry, get your toilet paper. I was at the store today. We were looking at bicycles for Christmas, 40%. They're up 40% from last year. I know because I bought a bicycle last year. They grow that fast. Your hand slides here. We were looking at toilet paper because my wife said, you know what, we better stock up. I see the shelves going bare. And we see all that. Yeah, you can go right into the belly button. I don't know if you've ever been hit there, but it does hurt. That's an area. Think about what the belly button is. If this thin fascia of muscle, it's a thin sheath of muscle that holds your guts in behind there. When it gets a tear in it, you get something called a hernia. And it looks like a big knuckle under your skin. And the doctor has to go in there and he has to stuff your guts back in under that muscle and sew it back up and put a patch in there. That's what a hernia is. So, and it goes right through that belly button. You can quickly, effectively drive this right into his belly button, his private parts, his solar plexus, his throat, his face, and you're letting the wood do the work. That hard piece of, in this case, oak, smashing through the nose, the teeth, the throat. And I got this for less than $10. This is just a dowel rod from the hardware store. Sanded it down really, really well, put a bunch of oil on it day after day for a couple of weeks, and it made it very flexible and strong. This is my Irish shillelagh, which was a gift from Doug. Thanks, Doug. But I love practicing with this and training with this, and it's so good looking, you can carry it anywhere you go. I put a link to a manufacturer down below if you want to see what they look like, what the dimensions are, or make your own. But you slide your hand down, and when you punch, extend the arm, turn your shoulders and hips, and then move forward. When you move forward, your whole body hits him. But do it several times. 3. The second one, your hand turns. You just bring it straight up, your hand sliding down the front, bring it in, 1, 2, 3. Same thing, lift this hand. Now you're into the solar plexus, a little higher, you're into the throat, a little higher, you're into the nose. Then the last thing I want you to do is think about hitting him with this whole part. Now I don't know how, let's say you're in a very narrow space, like a door frame or hallway, you might not be able to get this technique in. But probably if you turn it a little bit, you can smash down and smash down. Think about what I would teach you to do with your elbows, which is driving your elbows down or driving your elbows up into his body, into his face for self-defense. You're doing the same thing, almost like you're doing a paddleboard or a kayak, but it's that same motion. And again, because it's coming to the front and not wide. You're not wide, you're just turning and pushing. It's a very strong position for you. This is less hard, less damage on your shoulders and your joints. You can generate a lot of power here and then pull it back in, thrust again, bring it into his face, drive it down, drive it straight up, but keep it in the center line. Keep everything you do when you're fighting close quarters for self-defense using your walking stick or any kind of like a cane, a hiking stick, maybe use one of those Lecky trekking poles, and you have that ability to defend yourself because you keep everything going forward in the center line. You can also simply strike like this if you have the distance. If it's not, this is still, it's only 36 inches. That's about a doorway. That's more narrow than a hallway. You can probably smash 5, 6, 7, 8 times right through his face. I think we lost that bag. But it's very hard. And then striking, and then in. Think about like a bayonet attack with a rifle or a rifle butt strike. But if you fight close quarters with your walking stick, you've got to keep them. 2 hands are always better than 1. That first explosive attack, after this, I can simply turn it into the other hand, and now I can fight with 2 hands in this position. Same type of technique, but my hands are just in a different position. 1 up here, 1 down. Striking like this, striking like this. That's what I've got for you for this one today. There are a lot more things that you're going to be able to do with your walking stick and in close quarters, and we're going to go over that. But you asked me recently, I got an email from one of the Patreons, or a request on Patreon. Someone said to me, close quarters combat, please, can you tell us close quarters self-defense techniques using your walking stick? And they had a specific request, said, please show us one more time that beautiful Irish shillelagh, which reminds me of a song, right? Shillelaghs and shenanigans. Look it up. If you're over 18, if you're a kid, you shouldn't be listening to music like that. It's a little bit of rap from the kids up in Boston, shipping up to Boston. Anyway, take a look at that. Not the song. Who cares about the song? But the blackthorn. It's just amazing. The way these things are made, it takes like 2 or 3 years to make these things. They're really sweet. And the link below, you can look at that. Those are made in Roscommon. All of these that are made in the traditional way are usually made by families that have been making them for hundreds of years. And the Irish really did, and still do, walk around, and the clans would get into turf wars, and they would smash. And this one actually has lead shot in the ball right here, in this knot right there. And they open it up, fill it with molten lead, and then, I don't know if you can hear it or not, when that thing hits, and it's, like I said, it's nearly indestructible, but this is just a great tool. If you want one for less than $10, make your own. I've got a whole bunch of them. It's just a dowel rod, a bunch of sandpaper, get all the nasty stuff off of it, oil it up really well, get that flexibility back into it, and go to town. You got your own prepper self-defense tool. It's the ultimate prepper self-defense tool, the homemade walking stick. Or spend a little money, treat yourself, right? Christmas is coming up. Buy yourself an early Christmas present. Get an Irish shillelagh, something beautiful like this. And then you can walk around and you can lean on it, just like the Irish. I was thinking of the leprechaun. That's not, it's kind of Irish mythology, right? But, one of my favorite movies, The Quiet Man with John Wayne. Mr. Flynn carried the shillelagh. But it's an effective tool. It's one of the best weapons for self-defense. Now you know how to use it, close quarters. All you have to do now is practice. The best way to practice, slide your hand down the back, thrust. Slide down the back, thrust. Over and over. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast, faster and faster. You want knockout power, full extension, turn the shoulders and hips, and move your body when you come in. Smash them for self-defense. And I'll see you guys in a little bit. I have to go move a big table.